So I think we're on the top of the hour here, and they're closing the door. So if anyone comes in now, they are late. So welcome to this session. We're gonna give you a little bit of a session around customer story that we just recently have been able to go live with. So with me, I actually don't have the customer with me, but the second best partner who actually helped. So Ankit, if you can go ahead, present yourself.
Yeah, definitely. So my name is Ankit. I'm manager architect SAP on Azure at Avanade. I'm based out of Stockholm, originally from India. And before I begin, I just wanted to say back home in India, we have a saying that never trust an architect wearing a suit. So I don't know if that rule applies here in Stockholm as well. But anyway, I hope you guys will trust me throughout the presentation. Sven, a little bit about you.
Well, I'm as close as you can get to sales, so you probably wouldn't trust me as well. I'm taking care of the alliance with SAP partners, trying to understand the ecosystem and the landscape, the buying personas, what is going on, what is the thresholds, and so on. So that is what my job at SUSE.
Yeah, so let's begin. A little bit about the partnership and, of course, who FORA is, what they do. So FORA is a Swedish pension and insurance company in Sweden, based out of Stockholm. They actually work with companies to navigate their salaries and insurance solutions. And Accenture, I don't need to explain. I hope everyone knows about them, and SAP and SUSE as well as the product partners. But those of you who do not know about Avanade, Avanade is a sister company of Accenture and Microsoft together. It's a joint venture. Now, how this partnership got evolved and how this partnership led to the collaboration, and we delivered this success story for SAP on Azure. So basically, FORA recognized that there was a need for transformation, and they did another transformation a few years back, and they couldn't succeed in that transformation because they didn't choose the right tools. Now, they chose the experts, they chose the industry standards, the tools, right tools that they needed, and then they collaborated, and that was the aim, to deliver the vision that they had. Now, whenever we do such transformations, such larger transformation for years and years, there's a lot of asks and challenges every time. Me coming from a consultancy company, I would say we call it as a wish list of clients, And if any one of you is my client, apologies, but it is actually a wish list. And FORA also had a huge wish list of the ask that they had. But before I dig into the wish list, there was the end vision that they had was the salary reporting that the employers were doing was happening yearly. So that salary reporting went from yearly to monthly and eventually reduced the premium, meaning that when you pay pension, or your companies for your employers pays pension, you receive it yearly. So that orange envelope that you receive at the end of the year, probably in the spring. Now, what will happen when your pension is paid monthly, you will get more turn up eventually when you'll receive the pension, when you'll become the pensioner. So it's a benefit for the customers that FORA had. Now, beside that vision, there was a lot of ask within the platform. They wanted a robust, scalable, built for SAP HANA and 24/7 support for SAP platform. They wanted high availability, security. Within the compliance, they wanted data encryption with Talare for GDPR compliance, because FORA deals with PII data, personal identifier information. And also they wanted to be SAP compliant. And this is very challenging for us, or was very challenging for us, because FORA was using Talare before we entered and we did the transformation. And Talare is an encryption tool that does the encryption at data at rest. So what's wrong with Talare? It's a nice tool. It's French-based company. What happened was that Talare doesn't support platform as a service on cloud. It only supports infrastructure as service. So there was a lot of challenges that when we were building this whole ecosystem around SAP on Azure, that we couldn't leverage a lot of functionalities from platform as a service or software as a service within Azure. So, but anyway, eventually we solved this. Now, they also had a cloud adoption framework wherein they were using enterprise scale architecture. However, they didn't have a landing zone for SAP, and it was not automated. So what they wanted was that something that works with Azure, fits that landing zone into the enterprise scale architecture that they already had, less overhead of management, automate as much as possible, basically create, install, operate, and manage with infrastructure as code. And they had the vision, desire to innovate, stay competitive, should be a cloud-based solution. And for this whole transformation, we only had 2 years to do. Now, we knew that this transformation is supposed to happen on Azure, but we were confused between the right OS partner because SAP, as you know, works with Linux, but the application also works with Windows. HANA, you need a Linux OS basically. So that's when we connected with SUSE, and I think we realized like what the strength SUSE has and what they're doing around SAP, especially on Azure, especially for HANA systems within their OS, within their Linux OS system. So we realized the potential, and then we connected, and that's where SUSE came in as a partner and helped us deploy this whole ecosystem for SAP on Azure. And I think Sven is the best guy to talk about the good things for SUSE.
I will try my very best. So as said, the decision was already made about the infrastructure, you can say. The decision was made also with the application, if we can group SAP into be the application. And yeah, of course, it needs an operational system, but it needs a little bit more than that. And we choose to say that it needs to serve a little bit more. It not only the day one, day zero, but also day one and day two. So if click, what SUSE actually comes in with is not only the operational system, but special built extensions and tools that can help out throughout the process of building your operational excellence. And if we match that a little bit to what was asked for, so what FORA and Avanade asked for was an optimized performance, first of all. An optimized performance, we were talking about, this is the essential of the OS. It's something that is built, we have learned from the 25 years together with a partnership with SAP. We have learned how to build an operational system that can take the SAP workloads. We have learned that from each other because it has been a co-development. HANA is a co-development, oh no, not HANA, but for HANA, SAP have used SUSE to actually develop HANA on top of it. So everything that comes up first, built-in high availability. So this is something that you could obviously shop around on the market. It's actually built in, helps out with the uptime that was needed from FORA to actually secure the environment. So this is a built-in feature. If we look into the seamless integration, the choice of Azure from FORA was obviously to be able to scale and to at the same time have a well-priced infrastructure. And it needed to be able to present give a global presence. With again the partnership between SUSE and Microsoft, we have adjusted and we have made the operating system to suit not only for HANA, but also in the way it can scale on the Azure platform. Enhanced security. Again, there are built-in capabilities for encryption, but also hardening, system hardening. So again, there's nothing that need to be out and found somewhere else at a cost, added cost, but also added integration. So it would be more people that would, or more integration areas that need to be covered. It's all part of the operational system already. FORA thought also as well that this is a cost-effective solution. Why is that? Well, they based it first of all on they don't need to have a lot of specialized hardware to hold their HANA platform. They can rely on that they have the latest and greatest infrastructure environment in Azure that could scale out for them. And as I said, just to final off, and I'm nagging about it and say that this is actually part of the operational system. There is no real need to go out and do the shopping for these kind of things. This is what FORA found to go thanks to Avanade.
Okay, thank you. Now, this is the main part of the presentation, the actual solution and the implementation, what we did, how we did. So we not only built the SAP platform, we also built the data platform, modern data platform, wherein we are using Azure Synapse Analytics and Power BI, which I'll talk about. However, we started with the infrastructure foundation, wherein we used SUSE tools, what Sven mentioned, the capabilities around SUSE on the OS layer, and we use the concept of one OS throughout the landscape. Basically, for web dispatcher, application, HANA, cockpit, solution manager, everything is lying on one OS because it made our operationality and the lifecycle management of the ecosystem easier. Now, you remember I talked about Talare. So within that data platform, we also needed a database wherein we can, transform our data and store it, the PII data. And that's what we used Postgres, wherein that's also running on SLES and it's running smoothly, wherein we also have the high availability there. And this whole stack having a solid foundation on Azure for both SAP and the data platform. On top of it, we built the modern data framework as well as the automation framework. So everything that we built with infrastructure as code using Bicep and Terraform. Now, as I said, FORA had a history. They went through another transformation, which couldn't succeed. So I wouldn't take the tool name here, but they realized their mistake that they didn't choose the industry solution, right? Or industry tools. So being an insurance and pension company, they went ahead and started their journey with the SAP industry solution, buying S4I, SAP for Insurance. They did the transformation using modern finance in SAP for Insurance. And on top of it, we built the data strategy, making it a data-led organization, having data privacy around it, and modernizing and transforming the data. Now, you see, there are some concepts written here. There was one more session happening today around the concept of clean core. But what it meant to us as clean core concept was that we didn't want to customize anything in our SAP system. We will take it as raw, maybe 5% customization, but 95% it has to remain as raw as possible. So we didn't want to interrupt any data within our SAP ecosystem. So we take that data, transform it using Azure Synapse Analytics in a modern data platform, and then store it. If it's personal PII data, we put it in Postgres, encrypt it with Talare. If it's not PII data, then we use Data Lake, Azure Data Lake. And then that data is architected into Mendelian architecture. So what's Mendelian architecture is? Categorizing your data into 3-layer, bronze, silver, and gold. So we categorize that data, and then the data is transformed and stored in these 3 layers. And then the data is served using Power BI. And the transformation is happening in Azure Synapse Analytics. So today we have a 360 holistic view of the customer reporting. And these reports, this 360 view in the Power BI is not only consumed by within FORA teams, but is also consumed by the administrators of the union, the Swedish union. So overall, that's how this whole data-led transformation happened. If I talk about a bit on operational excellence, so within infrastructure, as I said, it's built on Azure Cloud using infrastructure as code. The code repository, we are using Azure DevOps, and then Bicep, and if needed, Terraform for the post installation. We are doing operationality and OS configuration using SUSE Manager. We are following all the best practices, automation, management, monitoring, and security. And just to highlight, based on monitoring, so Microsoft has built an ecosystem within their IT department with SAP, and they are calling it SAP Incubator, wherein they're building tools specially designed for SAP. So there's Azure Center for SAP Solution, there's Azure Monitor for SAP. So we not only put like the traditional solution manager for monitoring and all of this, we also put or connected or established the connection from our SAP environments with Azure Monitor for SAP. And that was like worked like a charm because what happened that our infrastructure team could understand and had a holistic view because we took that data and put it in Azure dashboards. So today, it's a small environment. We only have 8 to 10 SIDs, but our infrastructure team, as well as our SAP basis team or developer teams, even our end customers who are dealing with the customers, they can see in the dashboard that all the SIDs with the dashboards, small snippets have the status, whether it's running fine, which patch version, which kernel version, which OS it's running on, the holistic view basically. So it has become like, when you go in the FORA office, there's a huge screen where we are displaying that dashboard basically. So post that, we did the SAP installation using SDAF, which is the SAP deployment automation framework available from Microsoft on GitHub, uses Ansible and Terraform. So today, if someone from the basis team or any development team comes to the infrastructure team and says, hey, I need a new environment with this and this SID, imagine how much time it takes. I call it 1 day to production because we have fully automated it, even the installation part. However, today, the BP activation, business partner activation is still manual. We are still figuring out how to automate it. However, we have tools which are Accenture proprietary or IP, basically, called Cloud Builder that actually does that. But since FORA wanted to manage their operations by themselves, so they wanted to own the code. So we wrote the code by ourselves for them. And then for testing, we are using Tricentis Tosca. Now, I'd like to talk about a very common use case, which you all might have worked upon and done some amazing work around it, which is SAP start and stop. But no one talks about the challenges, how they have solved it. Now, when we started this, we realized that, okay, we have a lot of material available online, like Azure runbooks, automation runbooks that you can use, fully automated. You can start and stop the whole SAP environment, or you can use Azure Center for SAP solution. You just register your SIDs in there with the server name, and there's just one button click, you can start and stop the system. However, it was not addressing the challenges that we had. Because our operations team, when they do the patching, they wanted Cockpit, Solution Manager, Web Dispatcher, which is hosted separately on the server, to be also patched and start and stop, right? And no one was addressing these challenges. And another challenge that we found, when I looked at the code in the runbooks, which are built on GitHub, and anyone can go there and find out like there's a bunch of PowerShell modules for SAP start and stop. And when I saw and checked the PowerShell module, the .NET code behind it, what it was using at the backend was Azure VM run command, or we call it AZVM run command on the OS layer. And this was a security challenge for us because if someone or a user has access to this, you directly go on the OS level as root. So it was concerning. So when you go as root, our security team denied the access. So then we thought like, okay, how do we solve it? So that's when we realized, why don't we use SUSE Manager? Because we are using it for patching and everything. So SUSE Manager has an inbuilt capability called Salt, which uses minions to do the execution. So we created the front-end runbooks, which are executing our code based on a config file with Salt, and it triggers the script, which is a secure connection with SUSE Manager, because SUSE Manager is already connected for patching within the whole ecosystem. So today we have like one-shop automation wherein people go in and all they need is access on Azure Automation, click the runbook, start. It'll only ask 2 parameters, SID, whether you want to start or stop, and forget about it. And while we were building this, we realized that our operations team was actually wasting their time when they were doing this manually. So what they were doing is that they were logging into each server and running SAP control commands, which was crazy. And then they were just viewing it like for 30 minutes. As you know, like SAP system can take like from 15 to 30 minutes just to start and stop the whole system, including database, application, and web dispatcher. And that's when we realized that they could do something productive. So today, they just click, enter the SID, choose the option, start or stop, and they get an email after 30 minutes that this whole system has been started, the person who has actually started it. So within that 30 minutes, they could do something productive. So not only for the operationality perspective, we also, as I said, we have 8 SIDs today. We also scheduled these runbooks on 4 of these SID and realized that the cost actually went down because we are still, we have still not done the reserved instances. Probably that would save a bit more based on like the sizing and all, but we are still not sure about how much data is going to come. So we can't predict the sizes. So there's no point when you don't have the right size to do the reserved instances in Azure. So what we did was that we scheduled it, and then we realized that, okay, we saved 1.5 million Swedish krona a month, which is a lot from the operational perspective, right? So all this happened because we used, for the execution, we used SUSE Manager Salt. So this was the whole story. Out of this, there's a lot of outcomes and benefits that occurred. This snippet is actually from the FORA's website. You can log in fora.se here, and you'll see this snapshot. This aligns to the vision that I was talking about, that going from yearly reporting salary to monthly reporting salary. So where are we today? We are live since January 2024, and all the employers are actually reporting their employees' salary monthly now, which will eventually also reduce the premium. But from the infrastructure standpoint, today we have the improved performance, scalability. Whenever we see that, oh, the data is increasing, we need to increase the size. It just takes a minute. Then we have reduced downtime with the start-stop solution, as well as having SUSE that I'm going to talk about in the next slide, and also the cost saving. Also, FORA is part of a Swedish pension cluster. So there are other companies like Collectum, AFA. These companies, or Electa, these companies are actually looking how FORA did this transformation and taking it as an inspiration. I'm not sure if it's going to be same or not, but they are actually looking towards it within the Swedish pension cluster and taking it as an inspiration for sure. So now when we see we are live, but there are always enhancements and continuous improvement. So what is the journey forward? And especially with the SUSE environment. So we want to stay secure, well managed, and cost efficient. And one thing within security I would like to talk about is that we're going to change our patching, the hardening methodology. So what we were doing when we were hardening the OS was that when we were deploying the infrastructure with infrastructure as code, we were hardening our servers at the first time, and then we forgot about it. So what we realized that we need to harden our servers every quarter in a year. So we're going to do the execution using SUSE Manager Salt again, or we're going to follow the inbuilt SIS benchmark hardening for especially designed for SAP. We want to protect, analyze all the reports, and take continuous action. We also want to do a centralized monitoring, wherein we will collect the data from SUSE Manager and put it in the dashboard of Azure. So we have a centralized view of reporting. In terms of operationality, we are looking forward to implement live patching because that will eventually also reduce more downtime and also do the policy management and the governance. Probably, Sven, you can highlight the benefits of live patching.
Yes, very shortly, I would say that live patching is something that also part of the operation system again that will help you to apply and update the kernel of the Linux system. Even though you don't have to reboot, you don't have to stop any services. That will reduce the downtime significantly in a case. It also will make it possible for you to upgrade a critical, given critical update. It could be, God forbid, a bug that pops up on a Tuesday morning that need to be applied before lunch or something. Otherwise, you're fully open. You don't want to stop the operation. But live patching could by then update the kernel, and still you would have the service running. So we are unique on this one on Linux.
Yeah,
So
and
we're one of the first.
that's what we are looking forward to implement as well.
And just to add to that, it could be a combination with the SUSE manager to actually apply this. So it's SUSE manager is the one that controls what kind of patches are there, what kind of patches do you need to apply, and it can give the order through Salt to when to run these updates.
Yeah.
Back to you.
So that was the overall journey and the customer success story. If you would like to connect with us, here's our LinkedIn QRs. If you have any question, type to us, or if you have any question, we still have 2 minutes left. Please ask. Or we will also be at the SUSE and Accenture booth. If you have any question, just come up and we can answer.
Please pop by at the booth and get into the competition about the Lego. I don't want to carry that home. So, question.
Yes. No, data is stored inside SAP, the raw data that our customers. So when employers are reporting their salary, that data eventually goes to SAP. But the transformed data, we are not doing transformation within SAP. We are taking that raw data, we pull that data into data platform. Then we transform, modernize that data with Azure Synapse Analytics using Python, Spark. And once it's transformed, then we store into, if it's PII data, it goes to PostgreSQL, encrypted with Talare. If it's non-PII data, it goes to Azure Data Lake. And then it's served based on the purpose and the requirement that is. Yes, there's a ABAP table connector that we're using since we are using HANA runtime license right now. So we are not allowed to directly go into the database. So we go via the application layer. But just a fact, what happened in February, SAP, and I think it's valid for a lot of people who wants to build a data platform around SAP into a third-party cloud. SAP blocked ODP APIs for not permitted to be used by external parties from February 2024. So 1,700 customers globally are affected by this. So now cloud vendors are basically talking to SAP and trying to solve this, how they can do it, because they already had these connectors built for the delta load. So meaning, let's say I have 1,000 rows in a table. I did the initial load in Azure Synapse, and then there are 10 rows that are changed every day. Only those 10 are fetched, and that was built on ODP APIs. Now SAP has asked that it's not permitted, and you only have 9 months to be compliant. So it's a risky business, but we see where it goes, and it's with all the clouds, be it you're using Amazon, Google, or Azure, or any third party. So either we need to talk through with the licensing model, or probably if you don't have multiple sources of data, me being a cloud architect would suggest you to use SAP tools. But if you have multiple sources of data, you have Salesforce, marketing, Excel data, you have SAP, you have a bunch of other stuff, then go with the third-party data platform solution. And Microsoft is now pushing into a SaaS-based solution called Fabric, which is basically no underneath layer of the infrastructure. You have on-the-go transformation pipelines that you can build in Synapse on Fabric. All right, we are on time. Thank you very much, guys, for attending.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Ankit.
Thank you.